Back in 2015 is kind of when I officially started my career here on Black YouTube. And of course, at that particular time, there were a few communities. You had your guys in celebrity, you had your guys, doing the pro-black stuff like Sonetter, and then you had the burgeoning Black manosphere, which is what I was a part of. Now, right next to the Black manosphere were the emergence of what I consider now the Black conservative community. Guys like Anthony Brian Logan would come in 2016, I believe, Brandon Tatum around that same time, and then Candace Owens. And this was important because Donald Trump was running for president and he would win in 2016 with the Make America Great Again campaign. So there was a white space opportunity for Black conservatives. And those Black conservatives pretty much talked about the dysfunction of the Black community. Now at this time, there wasn't a whole bunch of guys talking about geopolitics, Israel. I honestly think that these Black conservatives were not even, interested in geopolitics, because the main thing that they needed to do was to talk either to the Black community about voting red or talking about the Black community. And that's what those guys did, especially guys like Brandon Tatum. Now, at the same time, the Hodge Twins were not talking about politics at all. They were doing comedy and bodybuilding. But fast forward. By the time 2020 came, Donald Trump would lose the re-election and then Biden would be coming into office in 2021. The Black conservative community wasn't as powerful as it once was under Trump, but it was still lucrative. And just criticizing Black people all day wasn't going to be enough. There actually had to be something else that needed to be done. And we saw what that change was. The culture of the conservatives changed. It got more radical. This is why you see a lot of guys like Fresh and Fit come into this space and then start collaborating with the likes of Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes, and some of the guys on the geopolitical right. And then obviously the alt-right started coming in. And so the alt-right pushed the culture, an extreme culture, that even the Black conservatives had to make a decision. And once the Hodge Twins changed their particular content strategy over to the right, they had to make a decision too. Number one, keep talking about Blacks. That was the cash cow. But number two, who would you be supporting? Israel or Palestine? Now, this doesn't seem like a big issue at the time, but yes, it is now. And guys like Brandon Tatum chose Israel.
Jesus was a Jew. Jesus is God, so that makes God a Jew.
Brandon Tatum chose Israel, and honestly, I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. From a YouTuber standpoint, from what I'm seeing, from what a lot of conservatives in the space are saying, it may be a decision he may regret. Now, he may be getting paid from it, and there are some people, sympathetic to him. But Brandon Tatum is not what he used to be. He doesn't get the views he used to. And because he's a Black conservative, he's sensitive to changes, meaning that he can't take those shocks like somebody else. I've seen Brandon Tatum literally fall off the face. Not completely, right? He still gets views, he gets money. But he doesn't have any pull amongst Black conservatives like he once did. And that's because he's loyal to Israel. And pretty soon, the way he's going, he'll be out of there. Fast forward. But other guys like Candace Owens and the Hodge Twins, both groups of Black conservatives, decided to go with a different strategy. They decided to roll with the conservative whites. And it's important to know that the Hodge Twins will do whatever it takes to roll with the conservative whites.
He's pandering to his base. Yeah, I guarantee it.
I thought it was more.
There is. I have
you stopped it. My bad. You got to see it. You got to see it.
Yeah, I pander to my base. I pander to white people. You pander. Damn, I lost track what I was going to say. Pander to Black people. Yeah, I pander to white people, right-leaning white people. I say, I don't want to shake the boat. Sometimes I shake the boat, but yeah, it's just.
Bills got to get paid.
Bills got to get paid. I guess he got some bills too. I don't know why he's wearing this.
I know. Because he's trying to be funny.
So right there, the Hodge Twins are saying, I will grift towards my audience and pander. That is important. Okay. Now, let me just say this in a space like what I have here with the Black YouTube commentary, Tariq Nasheed, guys that differ from probably my opinion in some of the things like Anton Daniels, Boyce Watkins, Dr. Umar. I'm just naming those guys because all of us are different in our strategy, but Anton Daniels can largely afford to say something different than, let's say, somebody like Brandon Tatum. The reason is Anton Daniels has a more built-in black audience, right? So when you have a more black audience, you don't have shocks because even if you disagree with him, you still go and watch his stuff. And then his audience is so deep and versatile, he can say what he wants to say. He's not gonna lose any subscribers, okay? However, guys like the Hodge Twins, guys like Tatum, guys like Candace Owens, they have very little room for error, all right? And so when you have very little room for error, you got to stand with your audience. And so if your audience starts to drift pro-Israel, you go pro-Israel. But if your audience goes pro-Palestine, then you go pro-Palestine. And here's an example.
That is crazy. They welcomed the Jewish people in after World War II. They accepted them as refugees, and those refugees took over that country.
Yep.
That is crazy.
That's the Hodge Twins talking about the history or their history of Israel. But also this.
Just like it was evil what those Hamas did when they flew into Israel.
Right.
And it's evil what Israel's doing to innocent people in Gaza Strip. It's just you need to be able to call evil regardless of its
Your
correlation with your political views and how it relates to your political views. You see what I'm saying?
Sometimes you just got to drop your political views and you just call a spade a spade. Yeah. I mean, you don't see the forest for the trees.
So what are we seeing here? We're seeing that black conservatives used to be used to just denigrate the black community or criticize the black community or try to foster a relationship with the right. And the issue with most black conservatives, such as Brandon Tatum and Candace Owens, they just didn't have a lot of pull to enter black America, largely because either they never grew up there or they just fell out of touch, right? Okay, so now if you have a large audience and you're a black content creator, you have to serve another purpose. You have to serve a geopolitical purpose. And so because talking about blacks gets old, you need to use your audience to suffice what an agenda is. If the agenda is pro-Israel, you're forced into that conversation as a black conservative. Whereas 10 years ago, that was above your pay grade. Candace Owens literally has been forced into it, largely because she worked for Daily Wire and then changed her mind and got fired, okay? The Hodge Twins, largely these guys, in my honest opinion, are not even gifted or educated enough to talk about anything geopolitically. At all. I mean, if you listen to these guys talk, they should be talking about wrestling. But anyways, the Hodge Twins are talking about the Jews a lot. And they also do podcasts with people who dislike their existence. They've worked with Jake Shields. They've worked with white supremacist David Duke. So the Hodge Twins will do anything to keep the bag up. They will interview people who dislike their existence. Yes, Nick Fuentes. They will bring on white supremacists onto their podcast and literally talk about the Jews or the Jewish community. That's how much grifting it is. However, for them, staying loyal to whites is the most important thing. This is where I honestly feel that Brandon Tatum differs here, okay? And this is more of a risk for him. Brandon Tatum defending Israel, and this is not me giving my own personal opinion about Israel and Palestine. I don't really get into that, but it's going against the grain because so many conservatives do not feel what Brandon Tatum feels towards Israel. All of them that I see that are popular on X, extreme groups, are pro-Palestine. Brandon Tatum, in my opinion, will lose a lot of his core following that are white people that are believing in that there's some injustice going on. He's going to end up losing those people in the next 2 to 3 years and will probably almost have no views. He'll have the big audience, but not so many views. On the other hand, the Hodge Twins, their playbook is stay wherever the whites are at. Stay loyal to the whites. White conservatives, usually anti-transgender. What is Hodge Twins? Anti-transgender. They're anti-Israel. What is the Hodge Twins? Anti-Israel, right? It's a copy and paste book. And as long as they have that, they're always gonna get paid. They're always gonna have money doing a lot of low effort work. And this is the grift. Don't go against what white people want. You're not thinking out of the box. You're not talking about stuff that is unique. Like if you look at somebody like Auburn Preach, I talked about them. They're not afraid to challenge their audience. They're not afraid to challenge ideas. They're not afraid to go against the grain. Even somebody like me, I will challenge ideas and go against the grain. It's much easier for me to do that. But again, with these guys, they understand all it takes is one mistake. One mistake with the white conservatives, and then guess who starts getting called racist names? They do. They will start getting disrespected utterly like never before. And they risk losing all of their money because the one thing that's for sure, losing a conservative white audience, while it's lucrative, once you lose it, you always lose it. With the blacks, we forgive. You can come back, get yourself right. We'll forgive you eventually. But with the white conservatives, never. He ain't lying. Once you're done forever. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, Jackson, back at it again. Another episode of Celebrity Drunk. Appreciate it for you. Just heard the bell. We're out.